Alright guys, I thought I'd shoot a little video here on mite prevention and treatment. Hopefully after you watch this video and after you go through having mites once, like I have, you will only be looking into the mite prevention aspect of it, not so much the treatment, although they are pretty much one and the same. So we've got a couple of different products here. I thought I'd run through what I've used and what kind of works for me. So we'll start here with the Prevenamite. This is often referred to on message boards or on Facebook groups as PAM, P-A-M, obviously for prevent a mite. However, when you're talking about a spray can like this and you're calling it PAM, it is very easy to mistake it for PAM cooking spray, which I know to those in the know that sounds pretty ridiculous. Although, trust me, many people have made that mistake. There's plenty of other products that you can use that you can get your hands on very easily. This is another one here. This is Mite. This is just from PetSmart. I have actually never used this. I only have it here in my snake room as it was given to me by a friend. Although I was reading the directions and the ingredients and it sounds pretty safe. I don't know, I can't really comment on how effective it is or can be, but reading the ingredients here, it's sodium lauryl sulfate, which I'm not too sure what that is, and then cottonseed oil, clove oil, and water. So it sounds not too bad. The Prevenamite here, I believe it's either the active ingredient is permethrin, which is a pretty standard insect killer. But the product I want to talk about the most, the one I use here, is Nix. So this is just head lice cream for usually for children, I suppose sometimes for adults, but you can get this over the counter at pretty much any pharmacy. So I'm going to kind of go through the process of what how you treat snakes with mites using this method. This is my preferred method. This is what most of my friends use, and I consider it, although the Prevenamite is a commercial product meant exactly for doing this, I find that the Nix is just a little bit safer. The Prevenamite seems pretty harsh, although the first time when I had mites it worked. So you get your box Nix, and all that's in here is this little bottle, instructions, and a comb, which you don't need if you're using it for this. What we also have here is a 4-liter jug of distilled water. I don't think it's imperative that you use distilled water, although I do find that it probably will help your solution keep a little bit longer. And it just kind of, we're trying to take as many variables out of this as we possibly can. So what we do here is open our jug, and now this is pretty full. I need enough room to mix this entire 59 ml container into this 4 liters. So I don't want to accidentally fill this up. It looks like I should have enough room, but I'm just going to dump a little bit out just so this isn't overflowing, and then I kind of would have a problem where I'm trying to pour off water, but the cream would still be sitting on top, and then it would throw our dilution off completely. So I'm just going to dump a little bit of this out. Okay, I've splashed out just enough here that we should be able to get this whole bottle of cream in. Here we go. This is a very thick orange cream, and you can see it kind of just sits there on top of the water. So we want to get all of this in. Okay, so when you're fairly sure you've got all the cream in, you have to shake it up and get all of this to dissolve completely in the distilled water. So you got to shake it up quite a bit. Okay, so after about 10 minutes of shaking, you should have something that looks like this. There's a lot of foam. It's very difficult to shake it all in because, after all, this is a shampoo. So it foams up. You don't have a lot of room in there to actually get it to mix around. So you have to take your time. But when you're done, you should have something that looks like this. It's fairly opaque. You'll see there's a lot of foam there. I mean, if you let it sit long enough, that will dissipate. But it's certainly not the clear water that it was before. So the next step with this is to put it into a spray bottle. If I can pour this in without spilling too much. Right. Only a little spillage. Now that you've got this amount here in your spray bottle, what you can do with your main jug here, now that you've got all this extra space, is to just shake it a little bit more. Of course, something you could do as well is take your entire 4 liters and your entire bottle of Nix here and put it in a container larger than 4 liters, and then mixing is a lot easier. But you know, I don't really have a container bigger than that, so here we are. So now that you have your mixture here, I'll show you how I would go about treating. Alright, so let's say you have a snake that has mites, or you've just bought a new snake and you're looking to just follow, you know, some proper quarantine procedures. What you would do, so this is our guinea pig snake here. What you want to do is take a fresh, clean tub like this, and you want to use paper towel bedding. So the reason we use paper towel instead of anything else is because you can see the mites very easily, and it's very easy to change out. And if you're trying to do this treatment with, you know, some type of wood or mulch bedding, it's impossible. So you start with a fresh tub like this. You want to take the water out. So you always, with all of these different chemicals that you can use, you never want to have the snake's water in the enclosure or in the tub when you're treating. So I'm going to put him in here because we're going to treat him and we're going to treat his enclosure. So what we're going to do is just spray this lightly. So I'm not trying to soak the paper towel, I'm just getting it damp, not soaking wet where you could see right through it. So that's kind of yeah, that's a good level. It's just a little bit damp. We're also going to spray it all over him. So we're going to do this. I'm not aiming for his head here, but it is safe to spray it on their head and face. And because a lot of the time when the snake is actually infested with mites, those mites will hide in the heat pits on the face and in the fold of skin underneath the jaw. So like I said, you don't want to spray it right at his face. This still is a chemical, but it is safe. I've never had a snake pass away or get ill or have any kind of neurological problems from this treatment ever, even tiny little hatchlings. So now that we've treated him and we've treated the enclosure, I like to kind of let it air out for a little bit. I don't want to, with, you know, the kind of the fumes and stuff, I don't want to just throw this right in the rack. So I'm going to let this air out a little bit, and we'll go from there. Okay, now that this enclosure has had some time to air out, dry off, we're going to slide it into the rack here. And now at this point, it's safe to put the water back in. We just always want to make sure there's no contamination of the water. I think it still would be relatively safe with this Nix method. Your snake is also, if they're infested with mites, they're going to want to be soaking in the water too. That's kind of just their natural plan of attack. Basically, they're trying to drown the mites, but hopefully with this treatment you'll help them out. But if you see them soaking in the water, you're definitely gonna want to change the water every day while you're doing this kind of treatment. Now we'll take him and we'll put him in the enclosure here. So that's pretty much it in terms of the Nix treatment. So we'll close that, and that's what you're going to want to do. So that initial treatment will kill a large majority of the mites. You'll see them dead all over the paper towel. Again, that's why we use the paper towel. You can see the mites. You'll be seeing them in the water dish, which is another reason you're going to want to change it every day. And so after one treatment, that really does kill almost all of the mites. You're going to want to repeat this a few times a week, maybe every 3 or 4 days or so. And you're going to repeat that until you see no mites anywhere in your whole collection. That's basically how you treat a snake that has an active mite infection. I also use this as a preventative. So if I do a show and let's say I have some animals either that I just had up for display or just animals that didn't sell, everything that comes back in, and of course I don't do this while I'm in my snake room, I do this upstairs away from all the snakes just to minimize any chance of bringing mites back into the collection. And I basically do what you saw me do earlier. So I just kind of put them in a tub and I'll give them a little spray there. And that's pretty much it. I'll do that with every snake that comes back in from an expo, and then they'll just go right back into their bins. I don't replace all their bedding with paper towels and stuff like that. I don't go crazy. Usually if you're going to pick up mites from an expo, it's only going to be a few of them on one snake, and this treatment should take care of it. One little side note with the Prevenamite here, I know Brian Gundy, who has a popular ball python channel here on YouTube, he has shown in a video about mite treatment that he'll take Prevenamite every couple months and kind of just treat his racks, because when you have these type of melamine racks and you have mites, they'll a lot of the time get down in these cracks, and it's, you know, they're just everywhere. It's a mess. You'll be sliding bins out and be crushing them. You'll see little blood smears on the white melamine, which, I mean, it is helpful to have this style of rack to see that you have mites, but to take care of it is a little bit annoying. But anyways, what Brian shows in his video as a preventative, he'll take this and he'll just do a couple shots here beside the tubs. I don't want to do it because this Prevenamite is actually fairly old because I've been using the Nix method for so long. But yeah, so he'll just take a couple shots in the side of the tub, and that will, you know, that just kind of acts as a preventative, helps treat the racks, and you know, just keeps the collection a little bit, gives you peace of mind kind of thing. And that's pretty much it for the mite treatment. All right, thanks for watching, guys.